here we are in China, and Premier Wen Jiabao gave another lecture this morning to the Americans, and obviously is trying. It said that Europe is their closest friend and ally and trading bloc, and he wants to see Europe succeed. I think the Chinese already own about 4% of Italian bonds. Maybe they'll buy some more, and maybe they'll bail us out. And I thought it was supremely ironic. If that was ironic, this is supremely ironic that it is now the Brazilians leading the BRICs finance ministers in a conference in a few days' time or a few weeks' time to bail us all out. So our future is in their hands.
So Europe, are we going to be into a recession next year? And U.S.
Well, if you
recession,
define it as 2 quarters of negative growth, I'm not so sure. But you know, it is what it is. It's like the S&P downgrade of U.S. sovereign debt. It's not the downgrade per se, it's the signal that it sends. And we haven't really got the leadership on either sides of the Atlantic to deal with the problem at the moment. And one looks back to the 80s when Japan was going to be the world's superpower, and Reagan and Thatcher gave us, rightly or wrongly, and a lot of people disagree with their policies, but rightly or wrongly, they focused on deficits. They focused on getting government spending in line with revenues, and then they built on that. And I think that's what we have to do again. This is on the background of power shifting to the south, to Latin America, to the southeast, to Africa and the Middle East, and shifting to the east like India and China. And that's a process that I think is unstoppable. Actually.
Are you shifting your revenue mix away from the
Yes,
West?
Yes, we'll cross $1.1 billion. I'm very proud of the fact that we'll cross $1.1 billion here in China. We'll be over $500 million in India next year. We're $700 million in Brazil and $200 million in Russia. And I'm very bullish on Russia too because of energy and oil and the reserves they have in the longer term. So the BRICs and the Next-11, when we grew in the first 6 months of this year by 6% worldwide, the BRICs, Brazil, Russia, India and China, grew by 15%, and the Next-11, as defined by Jim O'Neill, grew by 14%. So our growth, our future as a company, our delta in terms of sales growth is really not wholly dependent, but very dependent on the growth of those BRICs and Next-11.